All right, what's happening, y'all? We're almost through this year, which is just sad to say because that means time is fucking flying by. But y'all already know what it is. The one-on-one with the supervillain series, me, resident supervillain, Mr. J. Washington. Thank you to everybody here as a member of the squad that watches these, check these out, and give me the private feedback and everything. Of course, I love them. I'm not gonna do the full preamble. We're gonna get into it because they are doing the lawn maintenance in front of my apartment. Sounds just like literally my apartment. Anyway, I am so glad to talk to her every time I get to talk. It's an update in life, and it's been it's a pleasantful thing, and everybody else is enjoying this, and I'm hoping she's enjoying as well. What's happening, Jolene? How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, thank you.
Good, good,
And
good.
yes, I do enjoy it.
Okay, I just want to make sure. How's everything? First of all, it is November 10th as we're recording this, and I
Yeah,
know you're on the East Coast. What's the weather like out there?
it got warm. It got
How
real warm. I
how
don't
warm?
know the exact temperature, but I know enough that ants came back. I'm like, mother goddamn ants. Mother.
Well, it's 85 out here, and I was like, this is what you move out here for. In a sense, you move out for the weather, but at the same time, you're just like, I miss seasons. I do. I
Mm.
miss seasons sometimes.
Yeah, it's weird. the,
So what's
the
going on?
planet is dying.
Oh,
That's
the
pretty much all
planet
there
is
is.
the planet's getting tired of us. I'm certain of that. The planet is tired of us. Like I think 2020 was the planet telling. We all talk about how weird 2020 was. I think 2020 was officially the year the planet was like, get off me.
I mean, they created a virus to try to take us down. So
The entire continent country of Australia was on fire.
yeah.
The whole place, like I tell everybody, like, yes, it created a virus to say fuck y'all die, but an entire country was on fire.
Yeah.
Like, if that ain't the planet telling you, I don't want this
Yeah,
anymore.
like global concerns aside, I'm doing pretty well.
Good.
I'm back from my Chicago trip. That was pretty fun. Went to the aquarium. That was
Shed aquarium.
yeah, it was I love an aquarium. I love a zoo. Like they're great. I got to pet and feed stingrays. And they feel so I didn't expect them to feel like they did, but like it was neat.
Not touching the stingray after they took out one of their homies took out the crocodile hunter. Not
Look, it's fine. It's safe.
and look, let me tell you something. They might have a
Just
vendetta
don't
going
touch
around.
their just touch their spine, like the middle of their back. That's it.
Okay. All right.
Like they teach you what to do. They tell you what to do.
Okay.
But then I went to the Field Museum after that.
I love
So
it. I love
I
our museums. I
yeah,
I
like
would admit Chicago's museums. So here's the crazy part. So the Field Museum, Shed Aquarium, and Adler Planetarium are all right by each other. Then you
yeah.
got to go another 10, 15 minutes down Lakeshore Drive if you drive it to get to the Museum of Science and Industry. It's so weird. It's so weird.
Yeah, I didn't so all of my sightseeing stuff was done on a Saturday afternoon, as
Mhm,
morning, afternoon. So like I did all the aquarium. Uh I just did the dinosaur stuff at the Field Museum.
mhm,
And I think maybe like yeah, mostly just the dinos. That's what I cared about there. Because like I was in a rush because I also wanted to head to the art museum to see some stuff there.
mhm.
And on the way, I'm like, you know what? Like I see people riding a lift bike. I'm like, oh, I'll try that. Never again in my life will I do that. Those bikes are so high up. Like I'm sitting on the seat,
Mm-mm.
my feet cannot touch the ground.
Oh no.
Yeah. Then I got lost trying. I didn't know it was just like a straight right down the road. I just keep following the water on keep the water on my right, and I would have gotten there. I went towards all the buildings, the opposite of the water. I'm like, oh, it says straight line, so I'll go straight this way. Nope. And then by the time I got there, I was just so hot, sweaty, and miserable that I was
You're
like,
like, I don't want to do this.
I was like, all right. I checked out some of the stuff. There's the Barbara Kruger exhibit. Didn't
Mhm.
really understand it because I was hot, sweaty, and miserable. And then I was like, all right, maybe I'll go do the sky deck. And I'm like, oh no, you need reservations there. All right, I'll just go back to my place because I want to meet my friends later and I need to take a shower and bath and redo my makeup and hair and all that. So
Right. I don't blame you. Like after you be around, especially when Chicago heat and that humidity hits you, it's like I have to redo everything I did before I came out the
yeah,
house.
luckily, it was like Halloween weekend, not
Mm,
too hot, not very humid. So
yeah.
like I was lucky in that regard. But like still like talking to meeting friends for the first time at the party that night. And I was like, yeah, the art museum alone seems like a whole 1 day thing. It's like, no, it's like multiple days to get through the art museum.
Yeah,
It is big.
you're never gonna get through the art museum in one like it's one of those things. It feels like it's designed to make you want to come back
Yeah,
because you'll be
like
like, I didn't see everything.
yeah, like which is cool. And like I downloaded the app because like the City Pass thing I said, recommended the app. And I'm like, oh, there's cool little audio tours. None of them worked. So I was like, Jesus. Like, all right, I need to be here with a friend or have this audio tour work because I'm like, I'm done.
You were there for wrestling, right?
Yeah, Sunday,
Shimmer.
yep, there was the 2 Shimmer shows, and sadly, the rumors going around are they were the last shows, so that's
I s-
depressing.
I saw all of a sudden I saw a bunch of posts from Shimmer, and people, my favorite memories of Shimmer and blah blah blah
Mhm.
blah. I was like,
It's not
something.
yeah, it's so, like, while there, I saw a wrestler from the New England area, Jeremy Leary. I knew him from the Chikara days because he
Mm,
used to be Chikara, and he's friends with, like, other friends of mine, but, like, it was funny because like, he was at the 2nd show because Skylar, I think they're, like, partners in real life. She
mhm,
was wrestling, but, like, for a lot of the 2nd show, like, early on, like, he just had the mask down around his chin because Illinois, thankfully, there was a mandate for masks, so
mm.
thank you, Illinois. Uh, so I tweeted at Jeremy Leary, he's like, "Put your goddamn mask on." And like I saw out of the corner of my eye, he's like looking around wildly, and like he puts it on
Oh,
all
that's
sheepishly.
hilarious. That's
But like
hilarious. Like, oh shit.
he was like, then like after like the show ended, he saw me. He's like, "Oh, it was you." Okay.
That's
Like, yeah, yeah.
funny.
So and, like, he said, "Hey, word of advice, buy one of the turnbuckles." I'm like, "Oh, no. What are you saying here right now?" It's like, "It's over." I'm like, "No, I don't want this."
So they were selling them at the day of?
Yeah, like, I think they always do that, or at least I know they did that for, like, their one WrestleMania week show. They sold the turnbuckles, but they were all like, the turnbuckle pads, I get,
Yeah. That's
yeah.
what, yeah.
But, like, they were definitely selling them day of. And, like, because they didn't announce that it was the final show, and it's especially depressing for my friend, like, I just met her that weekend. We've known each other for years through Twitter, and all day long she was saying, you know, "It is my job to watch Raw, SmackDown, NXT, and AEW. Shimmer is the only wrestling that I watch that I actually actively enjoy and like."
Oh,
And it's
that's
like, "It is the one that brings me the most joy in life."
what's crazy is with that announcement with Shimmer, then a couple weeks ago the Ring of Honor
Yep.
thing.
Yeah,
It's
it's like the same week that it's happening. I'm like, "Oh, Jesus."
because it's funny because one minute we keep talking about we're in this big wrestling boom, which it is, but now the stalwarts are dying out. Like
Yeah.
I think everybody knew ROH was like it was ROH eventually had to.
Yeah, like, and from what I heard, it's a lot of Sinclair stuff on that
Yeah.
end.
Uh-huh.
Um, but like, it's really and like, props to them for paying people throughout the pandemic and not running shows. Like, that was really cool of them.
Yeah.
But like, Shimmer definitely died because of. I'm pretty sure it died because of COVID. Many other like indies probably died because of COVID. Some died because of speaking out and COVID. Which I'm like, all right, if you had terrible people in charge, I'm fine with you dying. So
Which ones?
I
Oh,
escaped.
besides
It was a cult. I was a
which
part of
ones?
it.
I know like Chikara is gone
Yeah,
because
yeah,
of that.
that's the main one I'm
Okay, I
thinking
was
of.
like, is there I thought it was somebody else aside Chikara.
Well, CZW, I don't know if they're officially dead, but they haven't come back yet, and
Yeah. And
so
Nick Gage is doing other shit
yeah,
everywhere they go.
Nick Gage hasn't been CZW since the what's his face ran it? Danzig, I guess?
Yeah.
Yeah, because he's a GCW guy, so
Yeah, this is true. This is
yeah.
true. It's just it's interesting because I think people forget like the pandemic is still a thing, and
I know.
so that's why when WWE can tout they're like, oh, how do they brag about their highest earnings and
I
then
can't.
cut people? I was like, yo, I don't know, think y'all realize this. It's about to happen soon to AEW, and I don't know if you saw me tweet this. I said I want to see if people had that same energy because AEW, and the problem is they're gonna let go of their originals. That's gonna be the thing. I want to know when people had that upset. You know what I'm saying? Because
Like, yeah, because they keep hiring people that were just released, so,
yeah,
you know? And, like,
and remember
I
what that
get
was
it,
the thing they weren't supposed to do. So
like, I get it, some of them wise, but whatever, I don't wanna talk about wrestling
yeah, absolutely.
for once, because like, last time, back in October, when we did it, I foolishly scheduled it too early because I forgot Fandom was that weekend, and then after Fandom, I was like, "God, I wish I had scheduled after it so I could bitch
Talk about
about this Batman trailer."
talk about Ezra Miller acting like he really don't want to be there for some reason, and was
Well,
like, "We don't have anything. Here's
also
something," and it's like, "This is a trailer. The fuck are you talking about?"
also, like, fuck off, Ezra Miller, a lot of people don't want you there. There's still video of you choking a woman in the streets, so,
Yeah, that one
like,
was.
you tried to bury it. A lot of people forgot. Some
No,
people
no.
don't,
I
so
think that's the thing with the social media, just in general. I said that about Aaron Rodgers and many others. Anything that's like a hot button issue nowadays, you give it a week.
I
And
know.
that's what like crisis management teams have been telling people: give it a week or two. As
Yeah,
long as you don't do anything, give it a week or two.
it's frustrating. But the Batman trailer, God, I that it has never made me less interested to see a movie, and I
Really,
love Batman so much. I
really.
just want Batman on the movies to look and act like Batman from the comics. It's
Well, you
not
know that's
hard.
not. Well, you know that's not gonna always. Well,
Like,
I get what you're saying, but I think because especially with this character in particular, having been
but
done.
well, okay, based off that, Matt Reeves' comment of saying
Oh,
Batman's in the films has moved more and more away from more and more fantastical, and I'm like, what movies are you talking about, Matt Reeves?
when he
George
said
Clooney was bat in the 90s.
when he sat there and said, "We're trying to do something that's never been done, a gritty, dark Batman," everybody collectively was like, "The Nolan movies exist. What are
Yeah,
you talking?" Like it was like his first
even
year. Like it's called
Snyder's
Batman
Batman was
Begins. What are you?
it's yeah, like and like he's charging directly towards assault rifles and like okay, if this is supposed to be a year one Batman, he shouldn't be bulletproof. He should not have a bulletproof vest. Like it should not be bulletproof. Because if Batman is bulletproof, what's the point? He's supposed
Well,
to be so good that he takes them out from the shadows or he doesn't get shot.
that's the thing too. That was the thing. I was like, Batman has never directly just confronted gunshots. Like, because what's to stop him? Because again, the suit itself is bulletproof, but there's a whole part of your face, fam.
Yeah, like and it's not like assault rifles are like accurate. Like that's why they shoot a lot at a time. Because the
I
spec.
don't. Yeah,
But
I don't
like
get that. I don't get that. I will admit, I'm with you on that. I don't get the whole. Oh, we're trying to do this because it makes no sense. Like I can see him being bulletproof because again, he's Bruce Wayne, and everything he's ever made is Wayne Tech. So of course, I can see him having that. That part
like
doesn't,
casting wise, it looks great. The car looks the car is my favorite looking thing about it.
Yeah, I think
Um,
because the
the
car is
car,
like
like
okay.
it's a muscle car. Like this looks great, but like I don't know, it's just too dark, gritty, realistic. Like the Riddler of it baffles me. How much time did you spend learning how to make question marks in your coffee to get arrested for no one?
How
No
many
one in
days have you been ordering that coffee at the shop every day, just waiting on the police to come? Like,
yeah, and like no one in the movie is going to see the question mark. Like the characters in that world are too busy arresting him. No one's going to notice that question mark. And wear a fucking green jacket with question marks, god damn it.
well,
Otherwise, why are you the Riddler?
I
You're
think
just some
and
guy.
that's the thing too. I think with this, like, because that's one of the big comical elements into Batman, if you will, like the Riddler's costume having all the question marks. But if it's just green, or he, because I guess I'm assuming because it's supposed to be such a noir detective thing, that's what makes him the Riddler, right?
But like why have it Batman? Why use these characters if you're going to like I'm just going to have him look like Phoenix Jones.
Yo, I haven't heard a Phoenix Jones reference in God knows how. For those watching this don't understand, Seattle has its own real life black superhero. His name is Phoenix Jones. Here's the problem. Everyone knows who Phoenix Jones really is because Phoenix Jones feels like he needs to walk patrol the streets
Yeah, yeah.
of Seattle. Like this makes no sense.
Plus, I mean, he's been arrested multiple times because vigilantism is not legal.
Multiple. He's a former MMA guy.
Yeah. But anyway, like, that's the point. Like, I don't comic books, especially for me, we've talked about it's escapist fantasy.
Mhm.
Like, it is not the real world. It should not try to pretend like it's the real world because, like, Batman is a children's character. Like, he was created for children. He wanted to fight all of crime, and he did so by dressing up like a bat and building a rocket car.
Fair, but over the years, throughout the continuation of the stories, we've taken away from that children's element, right? Because everybody's felt like the stories they need to write need to center him
Okay,
in reality.
sort of, sometimes, sure, but, like, his early advent so Batman Year One, his early adventures are Hugo Strange and the Monster Men, in which he is creating, like, Frankenstein monster people for Batman to fight, and then after that, he fights the Mad Monk, who is a literal vampire. These are all Year One stories. Like, after, like, Frank Miller's Batman Year One happens, and then he goes to fight Frankenstein monsters and vampires.
Yeah, yeah,
Give us
yeah.
this in the movies. Like, this is how like, embrace the silly because otherwise you're just making an action movie.
I think that's the thing, though. I get where you're coming from. I think the thing is we've crossed this boundary when it comes to comic book movies because throughout all of them, we still keep some level of the this can't be real, right? Through all of them, but at the same time, we've elevated the status of them where they are just gigantic action films. And you were absolutely right.
Yeah,
We're
and
like first Eternals is probably the first ever love story superhero
is
movie
okay. Is it though? Because
for the
Spider-Man, Spider 2000 Spider-Man is a love story,
yes, but again,
and
here's the
that
thing
movie
with Spider-Man
holds
2.
the fuck up.
Yes, it does. Now here, but here's the thing with Spider-Man 2000. It is colorful as shit. So it's a comic book movie in all its purity. You know what I'm saying? Because
Yeah,
how bright and everything is. And yes, it's a love story too.
but then it has the problem, like many early 2000s comic book movies, where it follows the action movie trope of killing the villain. That's the thing. Like comic book movies, the villains shouldn't die. By and
Yeah.
large, they shouldn't die because especially if their plan is for a franchise, you want to be able to reuse these characters in the future.
But what about the? But I
And
think the thought
also,
process is
like,
the actor.
well, that's fine, but I've always been pro recasting, so that's nothing to me. James Bond has been recast how many
Well, no, no,
times?
no. No. You just no, no. I get that, but it's also every time they've done James Bond over, they've it's almost a reset the entire world,
Well,
right?
only with Daniel Craig. That was the only time everything was reset. Otherwise, it is a continuity of movies.
Wait, Brosnan.
Brosnan just followed up after Timothy Dalton. It's the
He
same
did?
character. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't.
Yeah, like because they reference his previous exploits.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, Daniel Craig was the first reboot of James Bond.
From the
Like,
yeah, because
because
this Casino Royale is a complete
yeah, that's
all
his
royal.
origin story in the
Yeah,
so, like and the other thing about superhero movies is, like, if they let the villain die, that's, like, basically against the principle of superheroes where, like, they try to protect and save lives. Like, you have to like, people deserve justice, and, like, if you're just murdering a person, nobody's really getting justice there, and you are becoming the villain by murdering the other villain. Like, Punisher is a good example of a comic book movie that adapts easily for the films because he's already a killer. He doesn't care.
yeah. Like when people be like, "Oh, the Punisher," be like, "Yo, Frank Castle." No, Frank Castle is the only open murderer
Yeah.
that we
Like,
celebrate.
that's that's why it's odd that he exists in Marvel Comics because, like, every other every hero should hate him with a passion.
I
It's like
agree.
you are ruining our like we're trying to make the world better. You are not.
You are actively killing people. Like I've been doing a rewatch of the Punisher series on Netflix because I got bored, and
Yeah.
they say people with anxiety, you tend to rewatch stuff you already watched, and but I rewatched it, and when you rewatch it, there's parts in season one where Micro's like, "Yo, we need to just catch these guys so they can be brought to justice," and Frank's like, "No, they
Yeah.
gotta die."
Yeah, like
And I'm like, I get kind of what, but again, like now, I think after his origin, after Frank Castle's origin, and the basic everybody, like anybody responsible for his family's death, I get that. Cool. Everybody got to go. Understandable. Everybody got to go. Now, everybody after it's everybody after that. Like when you're like, hey, you could have just beat his ass and then let the police take him. Like you didn't.
yeah, like and the other thing like why it's weird that he exists in Marvel Comics is like there are so many superheroes that should just stop you. Like you should be most of your stories, you should be in jail, which you'll probably still kill people, but like it's like then you get into a whole problem of superhero comics relationship with police and prisons because it's like they were created in the 40s and look, it's a world of black and white for the most part, like because
Mhm,
it's the ideal fantasy world of like
mhm.
we can't end their lives because that's us being judge and jury, but also like the hope is they will be reformed, but like comparing with real life stuff, it makes it very hard sometimes in this day and age because like Commissioner Gordon is not tech is like I don't see him as propaganda because it's a fantasy world, but it's also like he is also like the best cop in the most corrupt city. So
Yeah, he's the shining beacon throughout it all.
and he's also like and that's I mean this is just a minor thing. I want move when the Batman movies stop saying Jim Gordon's been in Gotham all his life. He's not from Gotham. Like he
Nope.
was like the hero cop that was brought in.
Yeah, but that's again the changing of the story. It's to make it easier, so when he can say Gotham is my town and blah blah blah. Also, when you brought up Marvel Comics, here's the one thing I always thought about with the Punisher that never seemed right to me when they did that small little run where he took over the mantle of Captain America.
Oh yeah, like that was yeah, because it was
I was
weird.
like, I mean, technically speaking,
Yeah, I
the
didn't read
Punisher.
it, but I feel like every other hero would have been instantly mad at him because like Captain America hated him. He didn't really like Frank.
No, he only his respect for Frank stopped because he respected Frank being a Marine, but he stopped losing respect again when it was like everybody after your family, bro. You just ain't
Yeah.
got to kill
Well, and like
everybody.
and I remember the moment in Civil War, which is not a good story. I don't love it, the comic book wise. The movie wise,
Yeah,
I like, but like you know, Tony Stark has started basically doing his own Suicide Squad by putting bombs in villains' neck to hunt down other heroes that aren't registering. And Captain's like, "Oh well, maybe we should work with some criminals." And like they Jack O'Lantern and somebody else sits down at the table, and Frank just pulls out his guns and just kills them in front of all the other heroes. And it's like, yeah, no, Cap beats the crap out of him like he should.
yeah. You just can't be like we all sitting together. All right, so this is the mission, y'all. We're Frank. We needed him.
Yeah, like yeah, but yeah, like speaking of Eternals, I saw it. It's not for me. Like
Okay.
I knew, like, going in that The Eternals was Jack Kirby's least interesting comic book story ever. Like, of all the things he created, The Eternals is like he just took the New Gods and did it like a quarter-assed, and then the movie was like, "All right, this is." Yeah, it was very dull for me.
Okay.
So then it plus 2.5 hours, I was like, "All right, okay, this
Okay.
is."
I'll admit the runtime. It was a point. I was in the movie theater, and I was like, I think I gotta pee.
Yeah,
I was like, but I don't. The problem was, you know how sometimes when you're watching a movie, you can feel where a lull is, like a
mhm,
long lull, where you're like, if I run, I can run back, I'll be good. I couldn't find that moment because it
yeah.
felt like every time it seemed like a lull was happening, here goes something turns it right back around.
And, like, one of the issues for me was when the deviant gained the ability to talk, I was like, okay, fine, this is interesting. But then they reveal Icarus as like the traitor all along. I'm like, oh, so he's the real villain basically right now, and like the Celestials. But
Mm,
like, but then the deviant returns and they have to fight that too because it was already a threat. But I'm like, you're just in the you're just you're like the zombies in Walking Dead now. You are just there because you already existed, but you are not important to the actual story anymore.
I was upset a little bit about that. And like I said, I gave it carte blanche because again, how I knew how weird the Eternals were off jump, right? Like Guardians of the Galaxy is weird because there's a talking fucking tree and a raccoon, right?
Yeah.
But the Eternals within themselves is weirder, like you said. Is Jack Kirby saying, "Well, I already created these people. Let me just."
It's like I already created some of the best things. All right, I'll do the New Gods again for you, I guess, but
Right.
just not as good. Yeah.
So I knew with that, I was like, Marvel has to change this. Marvel Studios has to change this to make this palatable. Because like people like if you go the regular Eternal story, people are not. Which, by the
Like
way, it would have worked. The Dream and Celestial Saga in the book could have been translated to the movie perfectly and would have made way more fucking sense as a whole. I like the movie, I'll admit it. As a whole, would have made way more sense to the story because again, I think they did all this. It's now, I don't think Kang is the dude. I think it's Galactus. And I think they're gonna retcon Galactus as a celestial.
whatever.
I've been saying that for a
Yeah, it's a
while.
problem. I love comics so much that I'm like, all right, can you give me something that's just one for one translation?
No,
And
I'm with you. Like I have no problem with seeing a dude from Gallon who got caught in an experiment all of a
he's
sudden.
yeah, like the last survivor of the previous existence of universes is Galactus. That's it. Like
That's fine with me. I'd be totally fine with that. But again, because the way Arasham and the other Celestial look, I said this is on purpose. I
yeah,
said
I
this
mean
is
like
on.
it's got the Jack Kirby art and like you can make it work easily as like sure, he's also celestial cuz he's ginormous and has a big fun hat. And if he doesn't have that goddamn hat, if he doesn't have that
Well,
goddamn hat,
listen, I think they know better now after the
Rise of the Silver
cloud,
Surfer. Yeah.
after
I
the
know.
cloud that is Galactus, and the only thing that looked like him was a shadow.
Yeah.
And everybody was like, "No, don't do
And
this."
and so like after the movie I looked up some I didn't actually read any of the comics, but I looked up some of the like the original Kirby and seeing what the original deviants look like, I'm like, they're just people that can talk. You could have just done that.
That was my problem. That was another problem I had. I even said in my review, I'm like, again, I had saw issues that I had to forego. The deviants. So the story of the Eternals, as you probably saw, the Celestials came down and experimented on humans. It was like
Yeah,
we're gonna
like they
see how.
created the perfects and the imperfects.
Right, they're like we're gonna see how far we can stretch your DNA. So we get Eternals and then the Deviants, right? So the Deviants are just underground. I here's
It's
my
like
this
it's
was
like Morlocks versus, yeah, like
Yes. Yes. So here was my perfect idea. The Deviants have always been underground, no matter what. That was just their thing. The Eternals, Sprite has the ability in the comics to wipe their memory. So they're all just living normal lives. They don't understand why it is they don't age really and nothing like that. The snap reverses what Sprite does. And now all of a sudden they're like all the flashbacks of their memories are coming and they realize who they are.
yeah, I'd be
Minus
into
Icarus,
that.
minus Icarus, who's always remembered who he is.
Yeah.
Like I would have done that because then you're like, okay, so this would explain how we've been around. We think it's just a bad dream, how we've been around through all these things and we've never done anything, right? Cool. Then you run with that. I do admit the thing they did with Sprite was super smart.
Oh yeah, totally. Because like when I'm watching, I'm like, this is a bold choice to cast a child as an immortal that doesn't age.
I
Oh,
was
okay, there we go. That,
I
that
was
makes
like, I
sense.
was gonna say that like, because I was like, how? Because I know she's not just a one picture deal. I know this for a fact. I was like, how do you do this? And they was like, look, I'm going to make you mortal. And I was like, perfect. Because when they start filming, she is not going to look like a 14-year-old again.
Yeah, I mean, I'll probably see a sequel, even if no, I'll just go in like, all right, no, I don't care. But like, if I have the AMC A list, so I get like 3 movies a week. I don't see 3 movies a week, but like, I've already paid for them, so might as well
Might as well,
see
yeah.
it. So, but like, yeah, I'm just like, all right. So like, the first post credit sequence was Star Fox. I was like, all right, Star Fox. I like that dude, sort of, because I read I read what's his name, Stan Slott She-Hulk, and that's what I knew him from.
Yep, and
I
he was
like
in a part of the Avengers too.
Yeah, like yeah, I did, that was before I was reading like
Okay, got
regular
it.
Marvels, but like I knew him from She-Hulk, and so my brain was like, ah, we got Pip the Troll and Star Fox, and the Celestials took three of the Eternals to try them. Who's a great lawyer? Who's a cosmic lawyer? But
But
like
Pip the
that would be
Troll for
too
me,
fun.
it was the Pip. I was like, they really did Pip the Troll.
I That is a mixed blessing for me because I'm like, all right, Pip the Troll. Oh, this CGI is fucking terrible. It's so
That's what everybody
bad.
thought. That's what everybody thought Peter Dinklage was.
Like they should have just used a real actor on the set. You can shoot around. Look, Peter Jackson did it with John Rhys Davies, who's like 6 feet tall, and made him look like a 4 foot person. It's
Yeah,
not hard. And like Chloe Zhao, you're a very good director. You can do that too.
I didn't. I was like, all right. And then the second one, I was like, oh, so because my buddy said something to me, he was like, I'm real mad that they brought Kip Harrington in this movie, not to use Kid Harrington. I was like, you got a point, because like when they
What?
said he wasn't gonna be Black Knight in this film, I was like,
Oh, I didn't even know
okay.
that.
I was like, okay, he's not gonna be the Black Knight. Cool. But I was like, wait, oh, he's in a relationship with Cersei, but not in a relationship, and then he's just gone.
It's like, look, Dole Whitman was at. It's just that Dole. I'm sorry, not Dole Whitman. Dole White Man. He played his part perfectly. He is a dull white man in the movie. Like, all right, you're here.
That is hilarious
Yeah.
because
Look,
that's what he was. He was just there.
yeah, like there's no point to this character.
Well,
Like,
but that's it. The
yeah,
the, the
leading
post
up
credit
the
scene.
end. Like, but is the audience really supposed to care at that point?
That's kind of fair.
Like, if he had the role of traveling around the world with them, like the super fun guy that went around with Kingo, like sure. Like if he like tried to fight and help people, like okay, we might care. But like you FaceTime her once, and that's it. Like that's it. She FaceTimes you once, and that's it. And then he's like, I've got a secret to tell you. I'm like, all right, who cares? You have the ebony blade. That means nothing to fans. Like,
Well,
other
it's
than
a com-
comic book fans, it really doesn't mean
yeah, that's what I'm
anything.
saying to me, because I was
And
like
also, like
finding out who you are.
like, I mean, even comic I don't know too many comic book fans that are super excited about Dane Whitman, the Black Knight, who is the dullest Avenger, whose cool thing was he had a sword, but then that really wants to murder things. Like, it thirsts for blood,
The
but
sword is like fucking Frank Castle.
yeah, but and in the 90s of all periods in comics is when he stops using that and uses a lightsaber. You would think in the 90s that Marvel Comics were like, "Now let's have this guy with the sword that thirsts for blood keep using the sword that thirsts for blood."
But it works because now
That
you have
stupid fucking
Mahershala,
lightsaber.
but now you have Mahershala because they're setting up the Midnight Suns.
Yeah, like I'm into like that idea. Once you revealed that it was a blade, I'm like, okay, like that's more interesting. But also like, all right, Dane Whitman, who cares? Like, based off this movie, who cares? So it's basically, I have to give you a entire. I have to act like I didn't see you in this other thing because
Now,
like you didn't do anything.
well, I think the question becomes: does he show up in Moon Knight when Moon Knight drops? Because Moon Knight is the other piece to the Midnight Suns puzzle.
Which is baffling to me, but all right. Moon Knight's a weirdo. So
Moon Knight is Batman with open schizophrenia.
yeah,
Like,
yeah. He's a,
like
he's Batman and he's Punisher Batman basically.
yes, he is punter. Like, I've said this numerous times. Post Shang-Chi, we are this close to getting a fuck in the word fuck in the MCU.
God,
If
I
it
love
ain't
Shang-Chi.
Deadpool that's gonna give it to us, it's gonna be Moon Knight.
Yeah.
Because Moon Knight says fuck a lot in the comics.
Shut up, Dracula. Where's my fucking you fucking nerd?
Like
I love that meme so much.
in the
Dracula, you big dummy.
in the comics. So it's like, but that's where like I can see, depending on how, like, if they're deciding to do, if they do, so if they do the Loki route, it makes it weird. Where it's like all of a sudden Loki will reappear in season 2, and you're like, did we need a second season?
So here's a question, I guess. Do you think the MCU will actually use Dracula? Dracula's existed in their comics
No, no, I
for
know, I know, I
decades.
know.
Like, but and it's also wild that Dracula is in the public domain and more people don't use Dracula in their stories when they legally can. But like Blade and Dracula, it's like,
It's synonymous.
yeah, like, and also if you're gonna have a vampire story, have Dracula. It's Dracula, the
Here's the
most
problem,
famous
though.
vampire.
Here's the problem. How do you do Dracula if you do him? And when I say that is, do you do Dracula a la this mystical creature in Transylvania, Eastern Europe? Do you do Dominic Purcell's version?
No, no.
You get what I'm
Because
saying?
that's already been done, so, like, I don't think they'll do that because it's already been done, but no,
Okay.
give us classic Marvel Comics Dracula, or give us the modern one where he's got that crazy big cape, like, just he's, like, the most powerful vampire, like, just, like, go with that and, like, start there and see where you end up, you know?
I mean, you have to since the TVA already admitted that vampires are a thing. Like
Yeah,
the
like,
TVA has told us that vampires are out here. Like
it reminds me of season 1 Batwoman, which rewatching all the Arrowverse, and that's the one show that I'm like, "I don't need to rewatch that." I might rewatch Black Lightning, I don't know, just because 'cause I'm still sad how it ends, but, like, basically, I'm coming up to Crisis, and Batwoman's the one show I'm like, "I don't need to watch that to catch up to Crisis." Like,
no,
that
because I didn't
season
know
1's
they
not good.
edited her out. That's how bad it was. They have edited Ruby Rose out.
I mean, like, I'll believe both stories that, like, she was horrible to work with, but also she had a miserable time working. That's fine. Like, there can be multiple people at fault, but also, I'm sorry, you weren't good. You were not good. Like, seeing, Wallace Day and then pictures of her, like, I'm like, "Damn, why" she was probably busy on Krypton, but if only she was cast originally, like, this would've been great, probably. She's a
There's
much better
always
actor.
oh god, I would like
Season 3 is I don't know if you've watched any of season 3 of Batwoman. It's better, but it's also baffling because they do, like, a lot of thing of, like, "Oh, the Mad Hatter's dead. Here's the new Mad Hatter. Oh, here's so and so, but here's the new so and so." Because, like, they just keep saying all these classic villains are dead. I'm like, "Why are you doing that?"
I just can't. I've tried to because now with the whole Alice and Batwoman having to team up,
That it's fun, so I'm okay with it. Like, for the longest time through season 2, I'm like, "Why is Alice still here?" And now I'm like, "Alright, I know why Alice is here. She's fun. She
well,
brings so much fun to this show."
that and she's the equivalent of she's supposed what they were doing was initially this is your Joker.
Yeah, totally.
This is your Joker. But instead of your Joker where you just can't stand them, we're gonna make your Joker connected to you in more ways than one, and we're
Yeah.
gonna keep your Joker around. And you're like, I
Like,
guess.
it's a fun thing because I enjoy, like, some, like, the Brave and the Bold stuff when Batman is forced to work with the Joker, like, but that's also back before he was, like, had murdered as many people as he's murdered, and, like, they made him because they have to keep making him scarier and scarier,
Mhm.
like, this level of Alice, I'm like, "Alright, it's fun," but it's still a baffling show,
I
whereas,
got
like,
something to tell you once we're done recording because I
okay,
just watched something. I'll tell you when we're done recording.
yeah. But then
Uh,
there's, like, Legends, which fucking so, and the other thing that Batwoman that baffles me, it's about, like, the first openly gay superhero, or
mhm.
it's the first show that stars the openly gay
Yeah.
superhero, even though Sarah Lance existed first, and
Well,
granted, it's ensemble, but she's the
that's
main
that's why,
character.
and that's why because it's an ensemble.
But, like, it also feels like such a sterile and straight show despite having, like, at least 3 queer women in it versus Legends where season 4, there was probably 3 queer couples, so 'cause you had
Look,
Sarah Ava, John, and Neron, the I can't
the D
remember.
yeah.
Yeah, and then which they never canonized, but Charlie and Zari are gay as hell for each other.
They I think they teased it, but they didn't let it happen.
Yeah, I mean, the actors have talked about how they filmed the kiss and everything, but then they
Oh, they
didn't
did?
air
I
it.
didn't know that.
Yeah, because, like, I mean, like, the way they look and the way they act the scenes with each other, like, Charlie's constant like, I mean, one point, Zari's being ragged on for the wind powers, and she's like, what is this, Queer Eye for the straight guy? And Charlie's just like sitting next to her, is like, you're straight, and she just gives like this knowing grin with like the eyebrow, and like Charlie's
Oh,
looking at
it's
her.
Charlie when she was the shapeshifter.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, that's the one I had to remember
Yeah,
because, like,
season, yeah, because I'm not a Maya, but the
not
person
a
that
Maya,
looks like
but
Maya.
Charlie,
Yeah.
right? Okay, because yeah, Charlie, I can see that one. Okay, I can see that.
Yeah, she's and like it's like, "You're straight?" And like she's like so openly horny. It's very fun.
Oh, the best part about Legends to me is Ava Sharp is just madly in love with Sarah Lance, as Sarah is with Ava. But Ava can never go on a mission without running into somebody Sarah Lanston fucked, which
It's
is
so good. The John Constantine of it was so great.
it's just every time they do something, it's just like, me and Sarah had a romp. And Ava's like, who did you fuck?
Like, yeah, like it was, I guess, last season, and she's like, Nate's like, "Are you gonna be okay?" Talking to Alex Danvers is like, "Swing a dead cat." Sarah hated being alone.
Right. Like Sarah hated me, like, because you knew that I think everybody knew when they brought Alex Danvers, everybody was like, Welp,
Oh my
Sarah
god.
about to hit this too.
Like, 'cause rewatching Crisis on Earth X, and the moment that like Alex reveals that her fiance was a woman, the look that Sarah gives, like, "Oh, okay,
This is what
this
it
is
is.
happening."
This is happening. This is what it is.
It's
Let's
so
go.
it's so good. And, like, it's so great, and the current season is so goddamn horny. It's, like, so like, the 100th episode is my favorite 100th episode of all of them so far, just because like, it's the most fun, which I feel bad for Arrow's 100th episode because it was in the middle of Invasion, because they didn't plan things out properly, so, like, that's why it feels so weird compared to, like, in the middle of the crossover.
Yeah.
But, like, Supergirl's was really good because it was the Mr. Mixer-Spitlick episode of,
Yep.
like,
Say that.
and
Pronounce it again.
Mr. Mixer-Spitlick?
You're better than me. Better than me.
I used to be able to say it backwards. Kill Tipsy's I can't do it. But I worked hard to learn that, so
Okay.
but, like,
Because
I've
I'm like
also
Mr. A lot
well,
of letters.
so, honestly, the animated series taught me how to say it because, like, yeah, Gilbert Godfrey's like, "Mix, yes, spit, lick."
Mr. Spicklick. Ah.
Yeah, because like, Mix was a blender, spit, he spat on him, no, Yes, it was like a Yes album cover, and then
Okay.
he spat on him, and then he licked him.
Ah, I never thought about
That's
that.
how I learned it back with Mix, yes, spit, lick.
Okay.
But, yeah, like, the last episode of Legends was just like, Legends has also become, like, the musical show where they're like, "Here's a musical sequence almost every episode."
Well, because here's why. Because if you notice, Legends has to take away everybody with major abilities because they're like, we don't have the budget.
Yeah,
So
it's great.
again, when has Nate become Steel? Like, how
It's
often?
so much fun because like, the actor, like, he jokes about it too. He's like, "Yeah, no, we don't have the budget for this." But,
Yeah, they
like
just don't have the budget. And so
and,
you
like
know that's what it is.
and, like, the COVID filming, which you can see is pretty good because like, they split the team, which makes sense because you can't have as many I presume you can't have as many actors in the same scene, and yet, like,
In
they still
in
have
the
some other big
well, you
crowd scenes.
can't. So here's how it was going. In the beginning, when they were filming during the beginning parts of COVID, you had to have as little as because you saw it in that season of The Flash
Oh,
when
yeah,
they were
totally.
like you could tell in The
The
Flash.
the baffling Iris stuff of it all.
Or well, the three people literally social distance against it. You like,
Yep, yeah.
but now it's also because you've been together. When you're in Canada, the rules are so crazy because first of all, anybody that comes up automatically 14 days or 10 days, whatever it
Yeah,
is
I've heard it.
quarantine.
Yeah, I've heard about that from Veda Scott. Like when she
Right.
does her Twitch, when she would visit Speedball Bailey, she'd talk about it. So like they
Yeah.
give you
So
like a sequester you into this motel or whatever.
they're like, no, come this way, please. Come this way.
Yeah.
No, you were going to be here for 2 days and go back. Just come on this way. So like you make sure, and so, but also it enhances that story because again, it's something you can't have the powers, so you have to drag out something kind of stupid.
Yeah,
Your CGI isn't available.
and like I mean, I guess they're lucky because like Sarah and Ava don't have like a lot of them don't really have powers anymore. So like Nate, I mean, even when he had the Atom suit, how often would he use it? So like it's always been a long like one of my friends' frustration is like how how they never dress up anymore in their costumes. But also, like, I get it because it's a time traveling period piece a lot of time.
It's
So a lot
all
of the time, the costumes make no sense sometimes. Past season 2, those costumes did not exist outside of crossovers.
yeah, they didn't make it because there was no reason to use it because it was always we're gonna dress like whatever period we're stuck in this
And
week.
I love it because this just means I get to see Sarah Lance in different styles, which she always nails. So
Katie is so. Matter of fact, it's funny because we gotta get wrap up. But it's funny you bring that we talk about them because they're coming here for LA Comic Con in December, and that hashtag show is the presenting digital sponsor. So I've done stuff with that hashtag show, and one of the producers was like, "Yo, do you want to do these?" He was like, "I'm gonna list some things off. Let me know if you want to, do that main stage panel." He was like, "Arrow, yes." He was like, "Sometimes I was like, yeah." He said, "Zachary Levi." I was like, "I've already interviewed Astro Angel, so why wouldn't I want to do Zachary Levi? I've already done one half of Shazam. Give me the other."
yeah,
Then he was like, "Legends of Tomorrow." I said, "Bro, I got a whole video up where I got Katie to break dance. What are you talking about?"
so good. It's so good.
But they
Like,
have fun. I think they've
yeah, like
accepted what it is.
yeah, like it was the rewatch. Season 1 they tried to be serious. It didn't go well critically. Not a lot of love for it. Season 2, they're fighting like the dead supervillains of the other shows and like they're
Mm-hmm.
introducing more jokes. Season 3 is basically a comedy. Like and then
Full
season
on.
4 it continues that trend. Like I recently showed my friend like she had never gotten past Earth X before.
Okay.
And like so when she saw the season 3 finale with the Voltron Bebo, she was losing her mind. And then like,
Oh, you're gonna want to hear this. There's a Bebo Christmas special.
yes! Oh my god, yes.
I
But
I get to
season
watch it. I got it in the screening room. I
it's
haven't
so
watched it yet.
I'm so excited. But like season 4, there was this two-parter that ended with like John Constantine fucking things up. He did the thing in New Orleans to try to save his boyfriend. And
Yep.
then like it was a week we did the week break before we got to watch part 2, and like part 2 Legends of To Meow Meow, when like the first half of that episode is, oh, Zari's a cat. Zari's a cat, and here's the whatever, the Crusaders of Chronology, and then the SOS, the Sirens of Space Time.
Oh
And
yeah, all these different
like
weird things. Because that
and
was
then
right before. Because
Puppets
then
of Tomorrow.
yep, yep. Very,
and and then the second half of that episode becomes hugely emotional. And it's just like, what is this, a double length episode? No, it is not. It is a 40-minute episode.
it's so I've always that's the one. Like any of the other shows, I can see how it's like, all right, we need to know who our big bad is, how we're going to do this, what are some of the points we need to hit in the season when they're plotting the season out, right? With Legends, though, it's like, how crazy do you want to go within the budget while maintaining the story?
Yeah. And like the build up for Crisis on Earth X, or no, in Infinite Earths, with the monitors showing up in all the shows, and it's a
Mm.
super serious moment where he talks to the main characters or the heroes or the villains. And in the season 4 finale of Legends of Tomorrow, I remember it. He is sitting in the crowd eating popcorn. That is his moment. He doesn't talk to anyone. It's like the Hey World, like, and they're doing the little show with the magical creatures, and he just sits there and eats
It sure
popcorn.
is.
Yeah, that's it. And like, you think it's gonna be a thing, and then nope, he's just
That is funny.
yeah. It's because like because that's where I am in my rewatch. I'm on Arrow season 8, Flash season 6, Supergirl season 5, and like yeah, and like Christ and Legend season 4. So I'm like, I'm pretty tuned up, like leveled out, because I'm only watching Legends with my friend, because
Mhm.
it is a delightful show and we love Sarah Lance. So and
Li-
God, yeah, Laurel Lance Earth 2 steals my heart every time. I'm so mad that we didn't get the Green Arrow and the Canaries now, because I love me and Laurel so much.
Well, yeah,
I know we've talked about the future, but I
yeah,
love them.
that was I think that was their fault when they did that. When they decided to do like I get you needed to use Mia Queen, but you could
Yeah.
have gave somebody else the mantle of Green Arrow until Mia comes along. But
Or she's coming back next week, so the Flash.
who knows? Listen, I gotta get up out of here. But
Yep.
tell the people how they can catch you when you're streaming and everything and send you
Hey,
love.
You can follow me on Twitter at Jolene Double Negative, or you can follow me on Twitch at Jolene Double Negative.
And you were about to show the shirt,
Oh,
as always.
I think I've already showed this before. Lauren Moran's Luna Vachon shirt.
Oh wow, nice.
Mm.
That's a dope one. I don't think I've seen it. I don't recall seeing
Yeah,
it.
and she's got a new one that hasn't arrived yet. It's a cool China shirt. So
Ah, cool, cool. Y'all already know where I'm at. I got a bunch of stuff on the horizon.
you should
I
show
got.
your shirt off.
I was just
Already a supervillain? Oh,
yeah,
super.
already certified. I'm about to get some more of these made up. I got to get the t-shirts printed up if I plan on wrestling still for a while, which might be happening. But anyways, I will holler at y'all at the next one. Don't go nowhere. Take care. I'm out. Bye.